Now, Sunday marked 6 months since Hamas launched its deadly attack on Israel, taking hundreds of people hostage and starting the war in Gaza. Over 100 people are reportedly still being held in the enclave, and Israel has been reducing its presence in southern Gaza. The country's defense minister says troops wrapped up a key phase of the offensive and are preparing for future operations. This comes as Iran vows to avenge the deaths of several officials killed by an Israeli attack on the Iranian embassy in Syria last week. For more on this, we go to CBS News national security contributor Samantha Vinograd. She's also the former acting assistant secretary for counterterrorism. Samantha, first I want to ask, Iran is vowing, as we mentioned, for retaliation for those Revolutionary Guard officials killed by that attack in Syria. Now, what threat does this pose, not just to Israel, but to the U.S. as well?
Well, in light of Iran's pledge to retaliate, we are in an elevated threat environment really globally. We know that Iran really has a spider web of proxy forces all around the region, and also importantly for the homeland, that Iran has been able and has tried to inspire attacks here actually in the United States via what we call homegrown violent extremists. So globally around the world, we are in a heightened threat environment, and that's why I would imagine the U.S. government, in coordination with the Israeli government and others, is very carefully looking at intelligence to try to pick up on any tips about how, when, and where Iran is planning to retaliate. And from an operational security perspective, also boosting security resources for military facilities in the region, for embassies and consulates in the region, and more. And then finally, also importantly, there's a diplomatic track here. We know that the White House has said that Iran sent the U.S. government a message, and the U.S. government sent a message back to Iran basically saying, don't mess with us. So I would imagine there's more private communications probably happening as well.
Sam, we know what are the chances that Iran commits one of these attacks directly? I mean, in the past, they've used these proxies in the Gulf and in the Red Sea.
It is very unlikely that Iran itself will launch one of these attacks. The U.S. intelligence community assessed back in March that Iran and Israel both wanted to avoid a full-scale direct confrontation. I do not assess that Iran wants to engage in direct conflict with the United States. But let's be clear, Vlad. Iran is attacking us right now via its proxies. In the Gulf of Aden and in the Red Sea, U.S. assets are under Iranian proxy attack right now. So I would assess that Iran will continue to rely on its proxies, whether it be Hezbollah in Lebanon, Kataib Hezbollah in Iraq, or other proxies in Syria, to try to retaliate for the Israeli strike in Syria last week.
Now, we mentioned earlier that Israel's begun to pull some of its troops out of southern Gaza. Now, during a phone call last week, President Biden told Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that U.S. policy on Gaza would depend on Israel taking steps to reduce civilian harm. Now, I want to take a listen. Here's what the National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications, John Kirby, said on Face the Nation on Sunday.
It's their operation. We just talked about them pulling troops out and what that means. They get to decide how they prosecute operations. We get to decide how we're going to react to that and how we're going to administer our own policy with respect to Gaza. We make those decisions. And the president was clear with the prime minister. If there's not changes, if things don't get better, then we're going to have to make changes of our own.
Now, is this reduction of troops connected to pushback from the U.S.? And what's the tension like between the two leaders right now?
Well, the forces that left southern Israel, ostensibly, according to John Kirby, left southern Israel to recuperate and refit for the next stage of military operations. That could be because Bibi Netanyahu is planning some sort of operation into Rafah. But we also know that Israeli officials are expected to come to Washington in person to discuss a potential operation in Rafah. And the goal here is to convince the Israeli government not to launch a full-scale ground offensive. There are other operational options for Rafah to try to clear out any Hamas terrorists that remain there. And that will be, I believe, what the U.S. government will lay out for the Israelis when they come to town. The president telling Bibi Netanyahu that there may be conditions on U.S. support for Israel going forward, I do think is an inflection point in our bilateral relationship, and clearly something that Bibi Netanyahu heard and digested very quickly.
All right, Samantha Vinograd, always great to have you for your analysis. Thank you very much.
Thanks.